Hey, it's Onesto. And in this video, you're going to hear my review of week 3 of Andrew Huang's music production course. Week 3 has been my favorite so far. This week was all about going to your kitchen, making your own samples, collecting your own samples, and making that into a full song. And that's something I've never done before, so I was a little scared, but I'll spoil it now and just let you know that it was super fun to do, and I really like the song I made. If you want to hear my thoughts on week 2, just click the link right above me or in the description below. But for now, let's talk about week 3. Is this class worth it? I usually bring this up at the end of my videos, but I wanted to start off with it to make sure that you hear what I have to say on this. Throughout the week, I was able to talk to some past students on Reddit, and some really liked the course. However, some didn't like the course. They felt disappointed by it. While some disappointment emerged from the quality and depth of Andrew's videos, I recognize that a lot of the disappointment came from expectations not being met. And I kind of get it. Monthly markets a class as being for all levels of producers, beginner to advanced, which definitely isn't the case. So let me tell you who I think this class is for. This class is for a producer that's new to music production. They have around 6 months to a year and a half of experience. They also probably have a difficult time finishing songs, or maybe they've never even written a song before ever in their life. This producer is also trying to make some friends with other musicians and just having a hard time doing it. And most likely they're a fan of Andrew Huang's YouTube channel and his music. So if you fit this mold, you're already off to a really good start of enjoying the class. Even if you don't fit in these restraints, you're still gonna learn, but just maybe not as much. I know for me, I don't fit in these conditions, but I took class anyways because I knew I would grow as a producer. And in this class, I have met other producers. I've written a song in a way that I've never done before, which is by making my own samples, and I'm growing. So I'm still happy with the class. I just still kind of wish the price was lower. Oh yeah, if you do want to save 20 bucks on Andrew's course, I have a referral link in the description below. Go ahead and click that and you'll save $20. So let me share the expectations I think you should have when taking this course. The monthly website makes it seem like Andrew is going to be in your peer group and interacting with you one-on-one, giving you peer feedback and critique and like this one-on-one attention. They even have his name and picture in your peer group to make it feel like he's there in the group with you. But you shouldn't expect him to be commenting on your work whenever you post something up. I did see Andrew leave a comment on a couple students in the very first week, but you can just tell it was a one-off comment. It wasn't going to be like consistent feedback. I know for me, when I went into the class, I was not expecting this one-on-one feedback from Andrew. That wasn't a deal breaker to me. I knew that going in. But now that I think back on it, it does kind of suck that monthly does give this impression that Andrew's going to be in your peer group, like working with everyone and all that. Like that's not the case. Like who knows how many students there are per session of the class. There's just no way that Andrew is going to be able to give one-on-one attention to you. So let's talk about what week 3 was like. Here's this week's homework. You watch a few videos where Andrew goes into his kitchen and records some samples using a Zoom microphone. He then takes those samples and makes a whole song out of it. There's also a short video where Andrew teaches you the basics of synthesis. And then you go out into your kitchen, record some samples of your own, and you make those samples into a loop. After that, you'll give and receive feedback on your own loop and the loops of other students. And then you take that loop, expand it into a full song, mix and master it. If that sounds like a lot of homework, it's because it was. This week was pretty intense. I had to be super disciplined. I could have wasted any time, but I got it all done. Let's talk about how that went. Andrew's videos. The first videos you watch for the week shows Andrew going around his kitchen with a Zoom microphone, just collecting sounds all around his kitchen. And Andrew's an expert at this. He built his whole brand off of it. But I was really surprised at how simple it was to do. Literally just go into your kitchen and record things. And before I go on, I gotta say I was pretty skeptical of this exercise for myself. I just feel like if I were to make these samples on my own, it would get gimmicky really quick. I thought it would just be an experience where after I was done, I would be like, oh, that was really nice to do. However, I grew a tremendous amount from this exercise. I'll talk more about it later in the video. You then get to see Andrew in his Ableton session sort through all of his samples and organize them and arrange them in a way to where it would allow him to work fast when he starts to create a song. I do wish that he talked more about how he processes certain samples in order to make something sound like a really good kick or a really good snare. But I have a feeling that something like this is avoided because for this lesson, the most important thing is for you to go out, make your own samples and compose and arrange with them. I feel like the next level up is like how to polish your samples. But for now, I'm glad that the focus was on composing and arranging with your own samples. The video on synthesis is really clear, really simple, really basic. Once again, this video is really good if you're new to synthesis, but if you already have an idea and a grasp of it, then this video is like nothing new. It covers all the basics. You're not going to be a pro at synthesis, but you'll get your feet wet. Unfortunately for all of us, there are countless number of YouTube tutorials on synthesis, including some of my own, which is, hey look, a link up there if you wanted to check it out. So how did I do with my own samples? I thought recording my own samples was really fun to do. Instead of using the whole kitchen as my palette of sound, I decided to focus on something that I really like to do in the kitchen, which is making cocktails. It was a really hot day in Pasadena, and my wife and I were craving an Aperol Spritz, which is an Italian drink made with Prosecco, and it has a wonderful citrusy taste. So all the samples that I collected were made from ingredients, the little pieces of equipment, and the process of making an Aperol Spritz. And I was really impressed with some of my samples. I made this kick drum that I thought was super cool. I surprisingly made this really lush sounding organ from like when you rub your finger along the rim of like a wine glass. And there's this lead sound I made just by hitting like the side of a glass with like a knife. And with those samples alone, I was off to a good start for my song. My finished song. I liked this song better than last week's song. I was really surprised at how fun and creative I was able to be with these random samples. So if you're curious on what a song sounds like made using samples from Aperol Spritz ingredients, click the link right up on me and you can check it out. My takeaway from week 3. I thought that what this class requires you to do is a really good exercise. I don't plan on making my own samples again anytime soon. I don't plan on making a track that relies heavily on Foley. That's just not how I like to make music. And however, I walked away from this track with so much more confidence in using samples. When I handed myself a lousy sample that I thought could be used as a kick drum, I was forced to manipulate it. I was forced to process it and layer it and just figure out how to make this terrible sounding kick into a good sounding kick. And those are things I never ever think about or had to do or learn from because I primarily use third-party samples. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still gonna use third-party samples because it's just so much faster and easier and it sounds so much better than anything I can make on my own. But there's so many valuable lessons you learn when you take your own raw ingredients and make it into something that you're happy with. Okay, here's a weird analogy that I think illustrates what I'm trying to get at. Imagine that you're a pizza chef who uses pre-made dough. You only use pre-made dough because the dough you found is like the best dough you can find and makes these amazing pizzas. However, you'll become a better pizza chef if you know how to make your own dough. You don't have to make like the best dough ever, but you just have to know the ins and outs of like what goes into creating good pizza dough. And I'm not talking about just like getting a better appreciation of how to make awesome dough. It's being able to take any kind of dough that comes at you and knowing how to manipulate and control it to bring out the very best so you can make the best pizzas possible. That was a crazy weird analogy. Sorry for that weird turn, but I hope you get what I'm trying to say. And whether you take this class or not, I really encourage you to just go into your kitchen, just go anywhere, collect your own samples and force yourself to make a song with those samples. With all that said, I thought that the curriculum for week 3 really helped grow me as a producer. Okay, that's my review of week 3 of Andrew Huang's music production course. Next week is the 4th and final week where I'm gonna be making a song using my own vocals, and I'm really scared. I have no idea how that's gonna turn out. But if you wanna find out, subscribe and you can hear all about it. You can also click the links here to check out my track from week 3 or to hear my thoughts from week 2. And I'll talk to you later. See ya.